All right, this is a demo of custom views for your workout player in RideCave. When you come to RideCave, if you go to the Tools tab, you will see this new Views tool. And when you select it, yours will be empty if you come here for the first time. But basically what views are is for your workout, you have a workout player. So you see all your stats for your workout. And what you see here is the default workout player. I'm just going to refresh this in a moment because I have to star some of these. And so sometimes you want to customize it and see a variety of data for your workout. RideCave has more than 40 different data points that you can integrate into your experience, and you can configure that layout however you want. So when you create a new one, you get the classic as the default, and you can switch to blank if you sort of just want to start from scratch. And you can have up to 4 panels, and each panel can be either a grid or a panel. A grid accepts up to 6 different data items, and a panel accepts 1. So usually the panel is like a full data layout. And for any of these that you're not sure of, you just click the info and it'll show the modal with the information and description of what that particular thing is. So if you're not sure what some of these are, you can go ahead and see what they are there. You can configure these by moving them inside of here. You can delete them, and it's fully responsive. So the entire layout is responsive. And in a moment, I'll show you what happens on mobile with this whole grid and panel layout. So you'll need to get in here and just experiment with all of these. There's, as I said, 40 something different categories, and we have a blog post describing all the different categories. You know, we have things like strain, and so you'll see these in real time as you're working out. Some of them require you to configure a variety of settings here. For example, peak power, which we give an estimate, and your kilowatts, calories, and the default's 20K. So if you know these things, you can fine tune it so that the data you're seeing is accurate. So really there's quite a lot here to experiment with, and you'll just have to get in and start experimenting. So I'm going to discard this one, but you can see I went ahead and created some examples here. And anytime you see these, you can actually hover over these to see what these little cells are, but these are just examples of that. And in order to get these to show up in your workout player, you have to star them. And the reason for that is you might be creating multiple views, and you might not want them all in your workout player selector. You might be creating views for other people, or you might be creating public views to put in the community. Speaking of which, when you make these public, let's make this one public, so you hit save and you just hit the check, and you can put descriptions. Hit save. Then in Discover Views, you'll see the public views, and they work just like the ones in your tool, except when you open them you get this preview of the custom view. You can star these or clone them as well. But now let's look at what this looks like inside of a workout. I'm going to go ahead and I'll select this tempo workout, and you see this is a training simulator I use for testing. I'm on localhost right now, but anyhow, I'm going to hide that and just hit start ride. And let me enable the heart rate so we get full data. All right. So any of these that you click in the workout player, you'll get information on. It'll tell you exactly what it is. So if you're ever not sure, you can go ahead and click on one. Up here in the right, you now have this view switcher, and it's always set to the default. But as soon as you switch to a new one, it will remember your selections. The next time you come here, it'll be on that one. So let's just go down the list and see some of these. You can switch these in real time. And so I just switched to the focus mode. And you can see it got rid of the overview, and it gives me things like next interval, remaining time, and average power. Here's the current interval information. And here's the power meter. You'll notice that we switched the power meter controls to be in the bottom right of the workout player, because now you can configure these to not have the watt controller. So let's go ahead and check out intervals. This is a view that's just showing me my interval information. You can see that we have a verse previous interval card, and it's actually waiting for the second interval, so it has data to compare to. So I'll try to come back to that in a minute, but here's interval averages. So as you're going through each interval, it'll tell you your averages. And let's go to, if you're just very hungry about data, you can just fill these views with data. And this is one that's just completely packed with data. This isn't all the data items. You'll need to split those across multiple views in order to experience all the views and all the data items. There's just too many. Here's race view. So maybe you're concerned about W prime and your fuel tank. Let me show you how this works. So let's say, I think my FTP is configured properly. If it isn't, this might not work. But basically how this works is there is a critical power. It's the top end power that you're capable of, and you need to set it properly. And that helps you set these data points up so that they work well. And so when you go to like strain, for example, you need your peak power configured so that your peak strain registers properly. So let's see if I have it configured right. Okay, so right here I just notched this up to 800 watts as if I'm doing a sprint. And you can see that my peak power strain is increasing more than my other strains. And you can see that my W prime is reducing. I'm running out of matches here. So let me bring that back down, and you'll see that W prime starts increasing and recovering, and the strain updates accordingly. And so the strain isn't filling up for peak power. So you need to set your peak power accordingly. If you don't know it, there's guidance here around what values to provide. Okay, so going back to the race mode, this is really the same as that strain I just showed you, but you can see your W prime and other attributes for this particular one I configured. So going back down here, here's recovery. This one's just showing you power zones in a bar chart and some familiar stats here. Some of these stats require, like more than a certain amount of time. I think, let's see, available after 20 minutes. So, some of these data points need some time to adjust and run as you're doing a workout. Let's see. And then the last one here I'll show you is track. So RideCave has track riding via Stadium View, which are isometric models of tracks from around the world. Right now, this is just a single player track, and we have long-term plans to make this multiplayer. And if you go to our track experience, which is here, you can do races. So if you want to do a race, you can do those, and you'll see ghost racers on the track. Right now, that's not supported in this view, but long-term it will be. And long-term, we're also working on multiplayer so that you'll be able to race your friends here in the track. But the track data item allows you to switch between any of these tracks. And the beautiful thing about Stadium View is you can see the real scale of the tracks. So this is Detroit, which is a tiny little track. Now, if I switch to Roubaix is one of the largest tracks, and so you can really get a sense of the scale of the track. And that's kind of a fun way to ride. Your avatar will speed up or slow down and react to your riding. So these are data views. I'm really excited to see what people do with them. It's really an infinite way to customize your ride experience. Oh, and the last thing I want to show is how these work responsively. So we did have to redo our responsive design here. And let me go ahead and just go to mobile view. So the way this works is when you switch to mobile views, the workout player goes into a sheets mode where you get these sheets of data. it's just too much data to put into one singular screen. You can see there's some bugs that we have to work out, but largely this is how it works. So these views all sort of configure into sheets. And I think it works pretty well for a lot of different form factors. And you can see how these different panels work. So it's kind of a dynamic and intelligent system that tries its best to adapt to any form factor. And we'll have to keep working on some of this and refine it, but ultimately it feels pretty dynamic and flexible for any given particular workout. But you will notice a little bit of a change if you've used this on mobile or smaller screens before. In order to support this infinite customization experience, this is what we had to do. So that is the data views feature, and by the time you get this, you'll notice a couple other features I'll point out. We've added this ERG toggle, so if you need to, you can really quickly turn ERG off if you want to go into free ride mode. And then there's an experimental feature that we put out, and that's voice control. This is highly experimental. It might even break at a certain point when Google decides we've consumed all their voice limitations. But if this becomes a popular way to ride, I will build this into a more substantial, full-featured functionality. But let me just turn that on real quick. And you see the voice control here, so you can say up. And here you saw the power go up, right? It just went up 13 watts. Let's try it again. Up, down, down, mute, listen. So you can see that the voice control is working and it allows you to control the workout. So maybe you have this on a TV or your device is far away. You'll be able to use your voice to control your workout. I think, what are the other controls you have? Down here you can see them all, and we could probably add more over time. Pause. Resume. Start. I forget what the start command is. Maybe I didn't build it in there. Resume. Okay. Well, resume might not be working, but you get the point. This is highly experimental. If I get positive feedback, I'll build that out into a more advanced, fully functional feature. Thanks.